Hello, blessings and greetings to you out there and to you here. Mm, this is again Ayya Phalanyani speaking. Ayya Sudama has left Anenja Vihara. I'm talking in Anenja Vihara. This is not Empty Cloud Monastery, but Anenja Vihara in Germany. And for several weeks, Ayya Sudama was kind enough to take over the talks, and I think she did a brilliant job. And now you have to bear up with me again. And yeah, as always, we start with a short, with a brief. Hi. As always, we start with a brief few minutes of meditation where we connect with our breath. And I know it's morning for most of you guys. For some, as us here in Germany, it's in the afternoon. For some, it may be evening. Some are listening from Asia. So, wherever you are, with the day ahead of you or with the day lying behind you and with a good night's rest ahead of you. In any case, it is important to do our meditation practice. Whatever time it is, morning, afternoon, or evening, if there is a moment, then take this moment. Make this moment your practice. You sit wherever you are, on a chair, on the floor, in full lotus, in half lotus, in no lotus at all. However you are, wherever you are sitting, take some deep and calming, long breaths. You actually don't have to make noise while you're breathing in and out. It's just me trying to let you know how slow and deep the breath can go when I say take a few deep breaths. And then relax your belly and let the breath just flow. Whenever we practice observing the breath, wherever we observe it, it's never a control. It's never an exercise. It is something to learn to be in the present moment. You breathe and you know it. You breathe in and say, rising, because you note that your abdomen is rising while the air flows into your upper body. And when you breathe out, your abdomen is falling. It's falling back into its natural position. So you would say falling. And thus you observe rising and falling of the abdomen. And always check that your belly remains relaxed. It is allowed to stick out, to just hang there, to just be like a natural balloon. We don't need to look good. We don't need to look slim. It's just the cushion and the breath and a relaxed body, yet upright. Nothing more than that. Sitting upright and relaxed. Preparing ourselves to listen to the Dhamma. There you are. I'm happy to see you all. You just stay relaxed and calm. You just keep breathing. Keep relaxing your body. And listen to the Dhamma that comes to you today in the form of the Samyutta Nikaya 55. So 55 is the number of the chapter. And number 7 is the number of the sutta. The name of the sutta is the people of Bamboo Gate. Bamboo Gate must have been some sort of city or town. And the Buddha was talking to those people of Bamboo Gate town. And, often when people come and talk to us here, they are saying, if I could only become a stream enterer in this very life, if I only could become a stream enterer, that would be enough. I'm not striving for full enlightenment. If only a stream enterer, that would be good. So, yeah. What helps a person to become a stream enterer is then the next question that arises, right? And it's really so many people. We have people coming here, I don't know whether several hundreds or how many, but people going in and out in this monastery. And of the majority, the wish is to become at least a stream enterer. So there is actually a chapter on stream entry in the Samyutta Nikaya. And there are several suttas connected with that. We today will read a little bit and discuss what we heard, might mean. So, I told you Samyutta Nikaya 55, which is the chapter, and the number of the sutta is 7, the people of Bamboo Gate. And that must have been a city in the Kosala era. Well, I can just read. So, thus have I heard. On one occasion, the Blessed One was walking on tour among the Kosalans, together with a great Sangha of bhikkhus, when he reached the Brahmin village of the Kosalans named Bamboo Gate. Then the Brahmin householders of Bamboo Gate heard, "It is said, sir, that the ascetic Gautama, the son of the Sakyans who went forth from the Sakyan family, has been walking on tour among the Kosalans together with a great Sangha of bhikkhus and has arrived at Bamboo Gate." Now, a good report concerning that Master Gautama has spread about thus. That Blessed One is an Arahant, perfectly enlightened, accomplished in true knowledge and conduct, fortunate knower of the world, unsurpassed leader of persons to be tamed, teacher of devas and humans, the enlightened one, the Blessed One, having realized by his own direct knowledge this world with its devas, Mara, and Brahma, this generation of its ascetics and Brahmins, its devas and humans, he makes it known to others. He teaches the Dhamma that is good in the beginning, good in the middle, good in the end. With the right meaning and phrasing, he reveals a holy life that is perfectly complete and pure. It is good to see such an Arahant. Then those Brahmin householders of Bamboo Gate approached the Blessed One. Having approached, some paid homage to the Blessed One and sat down on one side. Some greeted the Blessed One, and having exchanged greetings and cordial talk, sat down to one side. Some extended their joined hands in reverential salutation towards the Blessed One and sat down to one side. Some announced their name and clan to the Blessed One and sat down to one side. Some remained silent and sat down to one side. Sitting to one side, those Brahmin householders of Bamboo Gate said to the Blessed One, "Master Gautama, we have such wishes, desires, and hopes as these. May we dwell in a home crowded with children. May we enjoy kasi and sandalwood. May we wear garlands, scents, and unguents. May we receive gold and silver with the breakup of the body after death. May we be reborn in a good destination, in a heavenly world. As we have such wishes, desires, and hopes, let Master Gautama teach us the Dhamma in such a way that we might dwell in a home crowded with children, and all our wishes fulfilled, and with the breakup of the body after death, we might be reborn in a good destination in a heavenly world. So, until here, so far, there's already a lot to think about. I don't want to take too much time on this, but this first phrase or paragraph, where the Kosalan Brahmins repeated what was said about the Buddha, what was said about him as an enlightened being, the Blessed One, and so on. You remember that? What I just read? This good report. This is something that is a sign. If we have enough trust, if we have heard the Dhamma in a way that we fully agree with this and we think it can't be otherwise, then we have great faith in the Buddha, great faith in the Dhamma, and great faith in the Sangha, or trust can also be said, would be a sign of somebody who has indeed gained stream entry. So for somebody who has gained stream entry, all those thoughts of, maybe there's another teacher who is equally good as the Buddha, or maybe I do some whatever, I follow this and that teacher, or I follow this and that teachings, that would be, for one, with stream entry, impossible, or not logic, say. It would kind of be wasted time to listen to the teaching that is not the Buddha's teaching. And so when you have this feeling, I mean, this is a phrase, and we every day in chanting, we repeat it. So it can be empty words, of course. There are all chances in the world that you say these words without feeling them, without understanding and knowing them. But if you ever feel like, whoa, yes, this is unshakable what I believe, then you're on a good way. Next thing, what I wanted to point out here is, and this is why I do not require everybody in the same way to bow to a Buddha statue or to bow to the teacher, which is in this case me. In other cases, other teachers. So here we see that the householders, some approach and some pay homage and sit down to one side. Some exchange greetings and cordial talk, and some join their hands in Anjali, and some do nothing and just sit down. And for the Buddha, in this case, everything is all right. When somebody becomes a nun or a monk, I would require that person to bow and to do all this reverential stuff. But there should, for one, not be a person who requires that and who gets angry when you don't. And you should be able to approach the teaching in a way that is good for you. And you should be able to approach a teacher that is good for you. So this approach in different styles and with different amounts of respectful behavior was totally okay with the Buddha. So do what your heart tells you. And I myself learned that bowing is a good thing, to learn something about letting go pride and letting go conceit, although it didn't work as well that I totally overcome it, but it's gotten better, no? Somewhat. So use respect to uh, prepare yourself to become a stream enterer if you have that wish. So then they all sit on one side, and that is where we left off. I continue reading. Master Gautama, we have such and such wishes and desires, was the question. So they want to know how they can have it all, how they can have a good life with wealth and crowded home with many children and with friends coming and gold and silver, and yet be a good person and yet live a good life and go to the heavenly worlds after the death. And the Buddha says, I will teach you, householders, a Dhamma exposition applicable to oneself, so to each individual. Listen to that and attend closely. I will speak. Yes, sir. Those Brahmin householders of Bamboo Gate replied. Then the Blessed One said this. What householders is the Dhamma exposition applicable to oneself? Here, householders, a noble disciple reflects thus. I am one who wishes to live, who does not wish to die. I desire to live. I don't want to die, and I'm averse to suffering. If someone were to take my life, that would not be pleasing and agreeable to me. Now, if I were to take the life of another, of one who wishes to live, who does not wish to die, who desires happiness and is averse to suffering, that would not be pleasing and agreeable to the other person either. What is displeasing and disagreeable to me is displeasing and disagreeable to the other. How can I inflict upon another what is displeasing and disagreeable to me? Having reflected thus, he himself abstains from the destruction of life, exhorts others to abstain from the destruction of life, and speaks in praise of abstinence from the destruction of life. Thus, this bodily conduct is purified in 3 respects. So, the 3 respects are body, speech, and mind. And this is really important to understand. You know, the Buddha often in our Vinaya or in the Patimokkha even, he implements, he suggests thoughts that we should have instead of thoughts of great hatred and delusion. He says, well, think like that. When we wash our bowl, for example, we shall think while rinsing it, we shall think, may I not splatter myself or others with water? Never works. You always splatter yourself with water. But he makes these suggestions. And that is a reflection. When you know, oh, here you normally have this kind of thoughts. And he suggests, well, change your way of thinking. That is what he really says. Change your thinking. Because usually we don't think of the others. We think of ourselves. And we think, oh, may I be happy? And may I get what I want? And here he introduces first the sila of not harming and not killing. And second, he introduces us a way how we can develop goodwill towards others. That is not metta yet, but it is going straight into the direction of metta. So if you train this to remember, to become harmless, that is also nekkhamma parami, to abstain from our normal aversion and hatred. So these thoughts can be implemented, and we can train ourselves to think like that. We can understand. This is a very logic thing that he presents. It's not something twisted. So it's absolutely and totally logic. When I don't want it, I look at another person, I must assume that the other person is equally not wanting to die, but wanting to live, not wanting to be harmed, but wanting to be happy, just in the same way as I want it. So, we might think that, but we normally do not implement this in our daily life. We are not consequent enough, I would think. We think this when we sit on the meditation cushion, or when we have done a retreat and are in this uplifted spirit, but then we forget about it. And what we need to do is to slow down in our lives and continue this, and remember to do this, to change our way of thinking. Away from the hassle of the household life, away from I get what I want and I do what I want, to a more harmless approach that benefits oneself and others. And thus, our bodily, mental, and verbal conduct is purified. Again, householders, a noble disciple reflects thus: if someone were to take from me what I have not given, that is to commit theft. That would not be pleasing and agreeable to me. Now, if I were to take from another what he has not given, that is to commit theft, that would not be pleasing and agreeable to the other either. What is displeasing and disagreeable to me is displeasing and disagreeable for the other too. How can I inflict upon another what is displeasing and disagreeable to me. And this is, I think, where we fail normally. This is the thought that is missing in our chain of thinking. We think, this is theft when they take that from me. We might even look at another person and understand, well, yeah, that would be theft if I take that. But we do not the last step. Namely, the understanding through reflection that we should not do what we don't want somebody does to us. We have a saying in German. I don't know if I can translate that or whether that exists in other languages. Now I don't even remember it in German. Was du nicht willst, was man dir tut, das füg auch keinem anderen zu. So that is more or less what you don't want the others do, that I can't do it with a rhyme. That don't do unto others either. So, having reflected thus, he himself abstains from taking what is not given, exhorts others to abstain from taking what is not given, and speaks in praise of abstinence from taking what is not given. Thus, this bodily conduct of his is purified in three respects. Here, let it go, let it be, has the translation, I think. In trying to teach children a lesson, we say, how would you feel if someone did that to you? Well, yeah, that is right. That is not the straight translation of that saying, but it comes near. And as long as one is bound to a self and to understanding, this is me, this is this is I, this is myself, as long as this is so, we need to use this to gain the understanding that this is not a self, this is not I, me, mine. Here, Charsley has it. Do unto others as you would have them do unto you. I think that is the proper translation of the German saying. Yeah. So we have this self, and we think of us as a self, most probably. So then we can use this and relate from, this is how I see it, and I must assume that the other sees it in the same way. And the more we try this, the more we learn this, the more we can step aside from feeling this I, me, mine, and self. But this is a process. So do such simple exercises. Start from the beginning. As long as we are not arahants, we are beginners. So changing the way we think is a really safe and secure way to change what we are, how we are, and on that way to become a better person. We might even understand that there is no such thing as an I, me, mine, and the self. So it's really, really worthwhile. And you might think, well, now she's kind of selling us the sila in a different package. And yes, I'm doing that, but but it's really worth it, you know. It's not mm, it's not something that is, yeah, the five sila, the eight sila or so. This is really important. This is the basic training. And by doing this, you can become a stream enterer. So, again, householders, a noble disciple reflects thus: if someone were to commit adultery with my wives, what would not be pleasing, that would not be pleasing and agreeable to me. Now, if I were to commit adultery with the wives of others, that would not be pleasing and agreeable to the others either. What is displeasing and disagreeable to me is disagreeable and displeasing to others too. How can I inflict upon another what is displeasing and disagreeable to me? Having reflected thus, he himself abstains from sexual misconduct, exhorts others to abstain from sexual misconduct, and speaks in praise of abstinence from sexual misconduct. Thus, his bodily conduct of his is purified in three respects. And this holds true for women, for wives who chase after husbands of others, or whatever gender you might feel like being, chasing somebody and going, having sexual contact with people who are in a relationship is a no-go. And you might think, well, yeah, the old moral story, but this is about becoming stream enterer, right? This is not, I want you to be a little bit, I'm not praying from the high, how is that called again? Chancel? I don't know. Um, um, some moral principles that I don't want to live by. This is something, the sexual misconduct, maybe you don't want to hear it anymore because you're tired of the Catholic or the church or whoever says it. But this is for stream entry. This is not to control your life. This is not to gain, that somebody wants to gain control over your personal life. This is that you can live in a relaxed, modest, and not to blame way of life. And chasing after people There's a lot of hurt. You might feel in love. You might feel like, oh, I need to pursue this person. I need to have a sexual relationship with that person because I'm so in love. But what actually you are going after is your wantings, is your wishes, and you do harm to other people by not respecting their family bonds, for example. Mm. And well, I see people coming here to the monastery after the husband cheated, or after the wife went off with another, after the family fall apart. These are the moments people go into monasteries, right? They are not coming when everything is good and fine. Some, yes, but most people come when there are problems. And that the family falls apart because somebody cheated brings people to monasteries. So I have to be around. I'm surrounded by that somewhat, with people who cheated or were cheated by another, and the family fell apart, and there's a lot of suffering, so much suffering when the family falls apart. Maybe for a moment of pleasure. And I would think that's not worth it. But to work through difficult times, and refrain. I'm not used to speaking English anymore. We have a Spanish nun now here, and so I try to speak Spanish. But I think you understand what I mean, right? So, there's that one little moment of pleasure. Welcome. There's that little moment of pleasure. And there are sometimes years and years following after of quarrel, of lawsuits, of anxieties, of terrible, terrible things. So you don't want that. And you don't want to involve anybody else in such things. So it is probably good to keep this, to do this. And again, householders, a noble disciple reflects thus: if someone were to damage my welfare with false speech, that would not be pleasing and agreeable to me. Now, if I were to damage the welfare of another with false speech, that would not be pleasing and agreeable to the other either. What is displeasing and disagreeable to me is displeasing and disagreeable to the other too. How can I inflict upon another what is displeasing and disagreeable to me? Having reflected thus, he himself abstains from false speech, exhorts others to abstain from false speech, and speaks in praise of abstinence from false speech. And this is most probably what happens the most, that we're not using the a proper way of talking, that our speech is just not entirely true, is in a way that it indeed harms others. And I I want to mm, point out that in a household life, when you are with friends and family and maybe co-workers, it's so easy to break this rule. And I remember myself when I was a lay person and I thought I'm a good person, but I broke this rule and I was not aware of it. Well, I was not breaking a rule, I was just using white lies as excuses. For example, when I didn't want to go somewhere, I said, "Well, I'm having a headache," or I'm out with. I always already have an appointment, which was not true, maybe. And I also had friends and family with whom I talked about others, and not always in praise. I talked bad about others, and mm, so this I can tell you, when you stop that, when you did that in your life, and when you finally stop it, it has a very bad outcome. You have to bear up with a lot of bad talking about yourself. And I just assume that that mm, yeah, this is what's happening, a karmic thing that repeats itself. And I experienced as a nun, when I really determined not to do this anymore, I experienced that people started talking bad about me. And I clearly see this as a sign karma is ripening, because I did it myself. So be careful. Don't do that. This should let me check. Um, uh, there are several characteristics by which you would see I'm a stream enterer, by which you understand. When you are a stream enterer, these things become like your second nature, and you wouldn't want to do them anymore. But until you become a stream enterer, you have to discipline yourself. I would say force yourself. It's never force that helps. It's always understanding that makes you grow into these things. So um, you practice these things until they become your second nature, until you understand I need to live like that. Otherwise, I'm harming myself and others. And until you understand I don't want even to live in a different way. So yes, thank you for all the translations back and forth in German and English. Yes, that is in fact a German saying that we have. Was du nicht willst, was man dir tut, das füg auch keinem anderen zu. So is the saying. And there is not the one. Yes, it is indeed a very wonderful sutta. So let me continue. Again, householders, a noble disciple reflects thus: if someone were to divide me from my friends by divisive speech, that would not be pleasing and agreeable to me. Now, if I were to divide another from his friends by divisive speech, that would not be pleasing and agreeable to the other either. Again, householders, a noble disciple reflects thus: if someone were to address me with harsh speech, that would not be pleasing and agreeable to me. Now, if we were to address another with harsh speech, that would not be pleasing and agreeable to the other either. And I want to stop here for a moment, because this harsh speech, we go over it so easily, and we use harsh speech very often with colleagues and with even friends and family. We brush them off. We um, we don't take the time. We don't respect and honor them by speaking, well, maybe normal or even pleasing. But we just speak harsh, and it's so easy. Somebody comes and says, "Oh, my boss has been yelling at me. My coworker are so mean to me, and they speak harsh towards me." And what I recommend in that case, I always say, take some deep breath. When you stand while they are talking, feel your feet and breathe in and out. Feel your feet, ground yourself, and say, hearing, hearing, hearing. Until it does not enter your body and mind. Doing this when somebody else is using harsh speech towards you, or in a moment when you feel like it's boiling up and anger comes and you are about to release harsh speech, relieve yourself by using harsh speech, then do this. Feel your feet on the ground. Get grounded. Breathe. Breathe in and out. Plant yourself in that spot as you were a tree. Breathe in and out. That is, to my understanding, that which works best if you are about to yell or use harsh speech, or when you're being yelled at. Again, householders, a noble disciple reflects thus: if someone were to address me with frivolous speech and idle chatter, that would not be pleasing and agreeable to me. Now, if I were to address another with frivolous or frivolous, I don't know how to pronounce this, and idle chatter, that would not be pleasing and agreeable to the other either. What is displeasing and disagreeable to me is displeasing and disagreeable to the other too. How can I inflict upon another what is displeasing and disagreeable to me? Having reflected thus, he himself abstains from idle chatter, exhorts others to abstain from idle chatter, and speaks in praise of abstinence of idle chatter. Well, this I try. I try so hard in this monastery. I'm here since 5 years, and I try people to get into, noble silence. Ever heard of it? And this is so difficult because you know why it is difficult? Because of our habits, because we socialize. And as human beings, we need speech to socialize. And the more people speak to us talk to us, we feel like, oh yeah, they might like me, they do address me, they see me, they hear me. So this whole talking thing is a social how you say that? It's a social thing to approach others. We use speech by that. And we need to unlearn that this would be the only way that we can show kindness towards others, that we can show to others that we are indeed harmless. And in addition, idle chatter can often be not only useless and senseless, but it can also cause a lot of harm. And people who talk a lot have a much harder time in meditation to shut down thoughts, because what you are about to say or what you will be saying must have been a thought before. Even a brief thought that you have not noticed. But if you omit idle chatter, you just relieve all the garbage that you have in your mind. And just don't throw your garbage onto others. So then it continues. He possesses, now should listen. He possesses confirmed confidence in the Buddha. Thus, the Blessed One, and here we go back to the beginning of the sutta. The Blessed One is an Arahant, perfectly enlightened, accomplished in the true knowledge and conduct, fortunate, and so forth. You find the text in, I would think, each and every chanting book. And there it is, the reflection of Buddha, Dhamma, and Sangha. So he possesses confirmed confidence in the Buddha, He possesses confirmed confidence in the Dhamma. He possesses confirmed confidence in the Sangha. You know, the Dhamma is iti piso bhagava, that chanting. So just check for the text. Any chanting book you like, it will be there. He possesses the virtues dear to the noble ones, and then unbroken, leading to concentration. When householders, the noble disciple possesses these 7 good qualities and these 4 desirable states, if he wishes, he could himself declare of himself, I am one finished with hell, finished with the animal realm, finished with the domain of ghosts, finished with the plane of misery, the bad destination, the netherworld. I am a stream enterer, no longer bound to the netherworld, fixed in destiny, with enlightenment as my destination. When this was said, the Brahmin householders of Bamboo Gate said, Magnificent, Master Gotama. We go to refuge to Master Gotama, to the Dhamma and the Sangha. From today, let the Blessed One remember us as lay followers who have gone for refuge for life. So that was the sutta here, and our time is over, but let's check what sud has been right. The ayah sometimes mirror for if I don't engage, sometimes in small. How small? Yeah, that's a common thing because they get scared. If you don't talk to people nowadays, they get scared that social convention, right? Thank you for Spook trying to translate. um, and for taking the effort to write some German for me. That's so cute. Very, very kind of you. So, yeah, we are caught up in those social conventions. If you feel the need to do it, to follow the social conventions, if you you cannot escape from that because you don't want to hurt people, do it occasionally, but very, very cautious not to say something unwholesome, and then get away. Friendly, smiling. And if you start to include some Dhamma into the small talk, then people won't address you anymore. People will run away most probably and not engage you so much in small talk anymore. Small talk, here in the sutta even is said that some people approached the Buddha and exchanged greetings and cordial talk. That is totally okay. Greetings and cordial talk to show the world and show the people that you are with them, that you are good, that you are friends, is totally all right. But when this continues into, then you start to talk about the weather, and then you start to talk about people, and then you start to talk Yeah, first you start maybe to talk about the nice things, and at some point it switches, and then you start to talk nonsense. And at some point, yeah, you can really try this. To here in this sutta, it said, if you encourage the others to he speaks in praise and exhorts others to abstain from those evil and unwholesome things, like we have been talking about, right? Um, yeah, you will see what happens then. I think that is enough input for today. I was very happy to see you again. Many, many blessings to you. See you next week. Bye bye.